Lisa, thank you. Hello to everybody, our teachers, our parents that support teachers. This is going to be such a fun class. I'm really super excited to share with you how to cut larger than your mat size. That's going to be the first project we're going to work on, and it may take up the whole class time because it's a lot of information. I'm hoping not, so I can get to the other projects, but I just don't want anybody to be disappointed. I want to let you know that we're going to focus first on going off the mat, and then we're going to talk about how to use other materials to create your workstations within your classroom. Now, the going off the mat technique you can use in a classroom for your bulletin board decor, your room decor, that front door decor. You can also use this concept if you're hosting birthday parties, for just bedroom decor. You can use these concepts and techniques. So I think you're going to get a lot of benefit out of it. First, we're going to go into the presentation portion of it, talk about using how to get your theme for your classroom, and then we're going to go into design space and go bigger. As we're going through the presentation, you may want to have a notepad out and a pen to take some notes down. As Felicia said, this class is being recorded, so you could always go back and watch it again. And so okay, let's just go right into it. Let's go. I don't want to give away too much information before we get there. So I'm going to go ahead and start our presentation. And this class is about classroom decor, setting up your classroom, go big or go home. All right. Now, to get started, I always like to, actually, let me stop this 1 second. I don't want to go back and forth, but I want to tell you why I wanted to do this class. My sister Joy, who also works at Cricut, and she roped me into teaching classes. She and I, when we were young, like I don't even know how old we were when we started. Our mom was an elementary school teacher in Montgomery County, Maryland. And she would put together her classrooms with so much heart and passion and rope us in. It was our summer job to recreate every summer her decor. Now, she did get to the point where she had enough that she didn't have to have us recreate it, or we got old enough and had jobs, so we couldn't do it anymore. But she would have us use an overhead projector and recreate Smurfs or little characters that were like detectives with their glass on it and stuff like that. So creating her rooms, and actually I have the theme was one of the themes she used for my class today. But what my mom would do is she would come up with a theme for her classroom. And then it was our job in the summer to create the decor for that classroom. So it's so much easier now with Cricut and Design Space and using Access images. So that's what we're going to talk about first. Now I can go back and share my screen. Just want to give you guys that background information. So in Cricut Design Space is Cricut Access, and Cricut Access is a digital library of images. If you have a Cricut Access subscription, you would have basically free access to all the images. If you don't want to have a Cricut Access subscription and you still want to use the images, you can purchase them a la carte. So we can share some information in the chat about that. But the image sets are basically a collection of images that have been placed together. Think of it like in a little folder, and you can use the image sets to find images that are pre-grouped together to save you time. So sometimes they're grouped by artist, sometimes they are grouped by theme. To find the image sets, you go to the search for an image, and it brings you to this screen here. And then we're going to click over here to image sets. Now, from the image sets, you can find image sets that are little monsters, characters. These actually are two different image sets I've pulled. The little characters, if you are doing, say, a class, a section on the West, or if you're doing a section on Europe, there are little European characters. Every country has different characters, so those are really fun. The winter sports characters, if it's an Olympics year, you can definitely use those. There are so many cute characters doing yoga. I started to write them all down, from the frog to the avocado. There's koala bears doing yoga. There's sheep doing yoga. I mean, it's crazy how many characters are doing yoga. So if you wanted to have like a relaxing, calm environment in your classroom, and you could take out like all the different characters and use them on the boards. I really liked this one, the friendly grouping. It kind of gave a science feel to it, but in an elementary level. And there are science groups that are more for middle school and high school level. The plants are always really fun. So that was one thing I loved about helping my mom, is we weren't restricted to, it has to be specifically for a subject. So like we could have taken this little plant and used this guy with her science board, or used this one for her alphabets and this one for her math section. So it didn't have to be math related. It was just a fun little character. The outdoor, there's so many different ones in the outdoors. They're from, really cutesy kitty ones to a little bit more adult, middle school age outdoor images that would work great. So once you've selected an image, you can bring it onto your canvas. Now, I know these are not a specific image set, but I want to show you when you start to enlarge your images, how to work with them. So each of these I selected for a different reason. If you're interested in the Marvel, I think Harry Potter is not Marvel, he's Disney. In the image sets, and I can show you when we go live, but there are collections, and these are licensed content. So you would need to purchase the individual image or the set of images, but you could do your entire classroom Harry Potter themed, Yoda themed, and there are just so many cute ways to do it. So I pulled Harry Potter in because I would have been so excited to go into a classroom and see Harry Potter there. So when you bring in an image, you'll notice that each image has separate layers. So this cupcake, as I start to break it apart, the images are in different layers. Some of the layers, if you look in the layers panel, have this yellow hazard sign next to it. What that means is that image is too large to cut on a regular size mat. The little cupcake cover here, this part of the image, this is not too large to cut on the mat. So I could cut that just on the mat. And I enlarged my images so that they would fit on I think it's like 24 by 28 size pegboard. That poster board is the largest I enlarged my image. So look, when you're looking at images, consider how many layers there are, how many layers are big layers, and how many layers are smaller layers. So that was my little cupcake there. Also, one thing to consider, I'm going to go see if I can go back. This layer here, while it has different colors, for different layers, they are in separate layers. So let me show you what I mean by that. When I go to the next slide, this layer of the rocket ship, each of these are grouped together, they're attached. So even though they're smaller pieces, they are attached together and would cut as one whole piece. So I was thinking initially when I picked out this image, I was like, okay, so I'll just have one or two pieces that are the larger size. All these other pieces I can cut smaller. But indeed, they're attached together, and you would need to contour those out so that you would make them smaller images. So this is another example on the Harry Potter. His face, his whole body, I made bigger, but when I pulled out his face, just that little tiny bit of his hand put this image into that supersized hazard, it's too big sign. So what you can do is separate this on a different level and contour it out. So to contour a layer, you would select that layer, and then you would copy that layer. So you're going to take, one is just going to be the face and one is just going to be the hand. And then you go on your layers panel and select contour, and you find which piece is the hand, and you click on that and it hides that piece. So for that layer, it would hide that, it would hide the hand. And then I have the other layer that would just be the hand and hide the whole face. Then I could cut them separately and not have to have it supersized. Now, when you have a supersized image, the way to get around that, and actually, let me show you what I mean when I say a supersized image. I'm going to step back for a minute. I have my sample here of the monster. And this guy, I should have measured him to see how big he was on the finished size, but he's supersized. So when I say we're going to supersize an image, this is what I mean. And you may be thinking, I only have 12 by 12 paper, or I only have 12 by 24 paper. How am I possibly going to get something that big? Well, we're going to cut it in the middle. And so to cut it down the middle, we have to do some slicing. So let me show you how that works and what that means. So to slice my image, I'm going to start off with an image. So these two rectangles combined are the size of my poster board. So this is the biggest size I want to cut my image. And I have two sides because these are two separate layers, and I'm going to cut my image in half right down the middle. So here's the little monster I brought in, and I positioned the monster in the middle of those two rectangles. And then I started to pull it apart, and I said, okay, like the little eyeball and the eye and the mouth and the other part of the eye, these are all smaller pieces that I don't need to cut in half. I can just cut those on a 12 by 12 sheet or a 12 by 24 sheet. The background and these two overlapping pieces, they were too big to fit on a single sheet of paper. So I had to cut them down the middle. So for the pieces that I'm just gonna put on a piece of paper and cut, I grouped those together and then I hid those. So I could kind of clear those off my canvas. So I collected these, I grouped them together, and then I used the little eyeball and I hid those off my canvas. Then the other three layers I put back together by centering them in the middle so that I would keep everything in line, and my middle line would cut the same on all the layers. Then I duplicated my rectangles. So I have three rectangles because I need to cut 3 times. So I duplicated both, and you really only need to do one side. You don't need to have both sides there. I did both sides just so we could visually see what that looks like. So then I'm going to hide my two purple monsters and select my background gray monster with my left side of my of the half of my poster board piece. When you have only 2 images selected, 2 layers selected, you can use the slice feature. And slice is at the bottom of the canvas here. So when you slice, it basically, think of it like a cookie cutter, and it cookie cutters the shape out of each other. So where they overlap, it cookie cuts. So from my original monster and the background piece, I have now it cut my monster in half, and I have another layer of the background piece. I don't need these background pieces. I can just throw those away. And now my monster is cut in half. So then I'll just repeat that process for each of the layers that I need to cut larger. So I just kind of keep repeating that until they're all cut right in the middle, and that middle cut is lined up the same on all 3 pieces. And then I go to cut it. Now, when I go to cut it, I want to make sure I know the order of the pieces as they cut. So if I'm using multiple colors of pink, multiple shades of pink, or multiple shades of blue, I know it's going to cut my medium, my dark, and then my light blue, and I have them kind of stacked up on the side to do that. So then I just go ahead and send it to my prepare screen. It shows my monster on a 12 by 24 inch piece of cardstock, and then I'm ready to cut it. Let's see, that's it. Okay, so then I'm ready to cut it, and then I cut it out, and I have all the pieces cut out to work with. So that's what I'm going to show you live, how I split it in half, and then I'll show you how I cut it. So let me share. And if you have any questions as I'm going through, please feel free to drop those in the Q&A. I did do a recorded version of how to cut it, and I put it up on YouTube. So Joy's going to share that. Joy or Felicia are going to share that link so you can actually see it happen live, how I did it. So they're going to share that with you, and you'll be able to watch that video, and it goes step by step how I did it. But I'm going to show you here how I did it as well. So let me go ahead and go into my design space. Okay, so this is my monster that I'm going to supersize. So let me clear off this, and we'll just bring in, actually, you know what? I'm not going to do this monster because I want to do the monster that we're actually going to be working with. So I'm going to give myself a new canvas. Let's see if I can, sorry. I'm going to give myself a new canvas, and we'll start from scratch. So let's replace this canvas. Okay, so on my new canvas, I'm going to go to images, and I can go look at image sets and do a search for monsters. And I get a few choices of different sets that have monsters in the set. So you really do have a lot of fun monsters to work with. I don't know why the monsters are so cute, but they really are. So I think the monster I used is in this set here. So let's look in there and find my little monster. Nope, not in that one. Which one is he? So this could be this one. Where's my monster? He's disappeared on me. So let's go back here, and I'm going to go back to the image sets, and I'm going to do a search for monster here. Because there's one specific one I'm looking for. I'm looking for that one with the little stringy arms. So again, if you go into the images, you can see how many different monsters there are. This is the one I'm looking for. And if I want to go look at the image sets, he's included in this image set. So if I go into that image set, I get more monsters, and my monster specifically is in here. So that's the one we're going to work with. And you can change the color. So that was in a Halloween set. I can change the colors of the monster. So I have different colors. Okay, so my mat, the tallest my mat will cut is 20, I think it's 23.5 inches. So I'm using the a Cricut blue cutting mat that's 12 inches by 24 inches. And I'm using, I have Cricut cardstock that's 12 by 24. Michael's has Recollections cardstock that's 12 by 24, or your school may have larger size cardstock that you can work with. So I know I'm going to make my monster, he's going to be 23 inches high. So I'm going to change his height to 23 inches. Now let me make my canvas a little bit smaller so we can see it. So once I have the monster size the way I want, and you can see like in my layers panel here, that hazard sign is, oh, your image is too big. So what I'm going to do is take a shape in the square and then convert this to a rectangle by unlocking the proportions. And I'm going to make it 11.5 inches by 23 inches. I think that's right. Did that right? So I go 23 point, I'm going to do 23 inches. So we're going to make this guy, oh yeah. Okay. So that's gives me just a little bit, 23.5. Now if I bring this over, I lose my little monster there. So let me slide the square down in the layers panel so it's behind the monster. And then I'm going to just line my monster up with the square, the rectangle piece there, and I'll align by the left side, or actually I want to align it in the middle. So we're going to align center horizontal. Oops. Okay, this is why you need two rectangles. Let me grab that and do a control copy, control paste. And I'm going to align the two rectangles up together. Now, this is always a fun part to see is how to do this, because I think your position on your canvas is underutilized. So if I want to line up my rectangles here perfectly, I'm going to change the position of the rectangles according to the grid on the canvas. So I'll put my first one in an XY position at 1 and 1. Then I'll put my second one at the XY position of 1 and 12.5. Oh, did I do that wrong? Let's try 12.5 and 1. There we go. Now those are lined up right next to each other, and there's no space between them. There shouldn't be any space between them. 12 inches and 12.5. You want to make sure there's no space or overlap between them, because what we're going to do is use that as the center for a monster. Now I'm going to select both of those rectangles and group them together. And then we'll align our monster with the rectangles by saying align right in the center. And we'll bring our monster to the top of our layers panel so we can see him. Okay, so now you can see the center line will go right through the center of the monster. For this monster in particular, I didn't think I needed to cut through his leg. So I moved him to the left a bit so that the center actually went between his legs there. Now, once you have your monster positioned on the rectangle, your rectangle pieces, you want to go back and figure out which pieces you don't need to cut in half. So like his little body here, this is 11.422 by 16 inches. Okay, so that tells me if I want to get that, I can put that on one piece of 11 or 12 by 24 inch cardstock. So I don't need to do anything to that one. Let me grab this guy, and this is going to be the same way. He's under 11.5 inches. So I don't need to do anything with that one. This one is will definitely fit on a 12-inch piece of paper. The mouth will definitely fit on a 12-inch piece of paper. And then the eyeballs, those will definitely fit on smaller papers. So I'm just left with my background piece and my layers here. So again, Slice works with 2 individual layers. So I need to take my background, and I'm going to move these guys over because we're going to, well, let me see. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to move their position. I'm going to hide those 2. So we just have this one going here. So I take my background and my rectangle here, and I slice those together. Let me ungroup here. I gotta ungroup that. Okay, now I take my guy and my background. I select those 2 layers. These 2 layers are selected, and I can choose slice. So now it's going to slice right in the middle of my guy. So now he comes over here, and this one comes over here. And then I bring back one of my purple monsters, and I can pick this side and choose slice. And now I have that is sliced in half. And I think I probably need one more square. So let me just do this. I need one more rectangle. So I call it a square for my last little monster piece to go on and cut in half. Bring it to the top. There we go. I'll select these 2 layers again and slice. So you can see you're not actually slicing both sides. All you need to do is slice one side or the other. And then we can delete every part of our rectangle. You don't need to keep that. You can remove that off of your canvas. But we need to have all of our layers here in half so that they will fit on your mat. So now those will all fit on my mat. My pieces over here will fit on my mat, and I'm ready to make it. So when I send it to my prepare screen, I'll be cutting on a mat, and my mat size will be 12 by 24, but I'm going to let it default to 12 by 12, and it will automatically go to the larger size for the larger pieces. So you can see like the eyeball right here, it's on a 12 by 12. And then the mouth is 12 by 12. And as we go down, I've got all the different parts here. So it automatically defaults to that 12 by 24 inch size mat. Now, if you didn't have a 12 by 24 inch mat or 12 by 24 inch paper, if you just had 8.5 by 11 paper or 12 by 12 paper, you would basically do the same process, but instead of cutting your character just in half horizontal, you would also need to cut it in half vertical. So you do the same process, just cutting it into quarters. Okay, so that's our little monster, and we can make him. So just to show you how I prep the material on the mat, we'll go ahead and I'm going to cut I think I cut one of my linings out of yellow. So let's do this one. I'm going to cut this one, and I'm using a yellow color for this. So I just am going to say continue, and I'm going to select a cardstock, medium cardstock. So it's 80 pound. And then I'm going to go ahead and feed that into my Cricut machine. So let's go ahead and look at how that all comes together. I have my monster. I've got to name this guy. So he has a little name, and it can watch over me. So to do this, I'm going to use a 12 by 24 inch mat. So this mat is 12 inches by 24 inches. And it cuts 11.5 inches by, I think, 23 inches long. So, all right, actually, I probably would cut 23.5 inches long. So I just have to put my material, which is my yellow cardstock here. I'm going to line it up in my top corner and bring it down. And then I use my brayer to make sure that that is nicely adhered onto the mat and it's not going to move around on me. So let me open that up, and we're going to feed this in. All right, and if this is a good, while we're cutting and everything, this is always a good opportunity to ask any questions you may have. Feel free to type those in the Q&A section. All right, I'd love to see, actually, if anybody wants to, while it's cutting out, let us know if you've picked a theme for your classroom, or if you're a parent volunteer and your teacher has a theme and you want to share that, we can talk about that. All right, my little coaster. All right, so it just cuts it out, and I have it on a medium cardstock setting, which is about an 80 pound. If I were using construction paper, I would put that on a 65 pound, the light cardstock for construction paper, or use a construction paper setting. So either way, you could do that. So there's my little guy, one half of him. Okay, and then you just unload it, and we're going to turn it over and peel the mat off the paper. And if you're using even lighter weight cardstock, like construction paper, something like that, I would definitely want to peel it off the back. When you use a 12 by 24 mat, do you need enough space on the back of the machine? That is a very good question. Yes, you need to make sure you have the space for your mat to go all the way through, because as you can see, my little guy, let's see, he cut down, this looks like a minion. He cut down all the way to 22 inches. So you definitely want to have enough space on the back side for your mat to go all the way through and come back. Sometimes if my Cricut is hanging off of the table, like the front is off the table, I'll put a T-square in there to hold my mat up as well. Okay, then I just need to go back. The 12 by 24 cardstock in Michaels, if you go to the scrapbook aisle, it's there. The one Michaels close to me has it up high on a shelf, and then another one has it like within the scrapbook paper, like the packs of decorative paper. That's where I find it. in either of those places. And then you can always trim this down and save this for your letters on your bulletin board. Is fun. You can do that. I save every scrap, I say. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut the other half of this, and then I'll show you how I put it together. So this is my Cricut pack of 12 by 24. And so it'll look like, you want to look for this. In Michael's, it's by recollection. So it's really nice and big like this. And it's heavy, and it is a little bit of a challenge to store. I have mine stacked up underneath my table. So it is just a smidgen bit of a challenge to store. But I know when I've done bulletin boards for teachers, they've given me cardstock, like a construction paper that's bigger like this to do. One time I had to do a whole grade. I made cactuses for the whole grade. And then the kids took the tissue paper and put flowers on the cactuses. It's really cute. That was a fun one. I love the idea of a beach theme classroom. Somebody said that was their theme. Very. I wonder, do you play music, like the sound of waves as they're reading or anything like that? Okay, so now I'm just gonna, I've gone ahead, just because so you guys don't have to watch everything cut through. It's fun to watch, but I've gone ahead and I've cut everything already out for us. So I'm going to show you, we're going to talk about how to put it together. Let me just grab that over here. Super sized. Okay, so here I've got this already cut out. So I have all my pieces are cut out here. Can you use poster paper cut down to the right size? Absolutely, you can use poster board. I'll tell you what I did. My backing is poster board. So I took a piece of black poster board, the big piece, and I outlined my back piece of it. And then I took my scissors and I cut inside my pencil marks. And that's so that hopefully my background piece doesn't show. And so I use this for stability. And if you have like that cream color pegboard that you can use from school, you can use that. If you have white poster board, if you wanted to, you could use foam core board and cut out your backing from that. Although that to me might be a little bit hard to put up on a bulletin board. But it depends on where you're using it. Like if you're doing a birthday and you want to take and make a really big Ariel or something like that for a princess themed birthday, you can absolutely do that. So I used my little, these little clippy scissors and to get in all my little nooks and crannies. And then I tried to cut, I didn't quite get all of it, cut inside my, my little monster. Now I have all my pieces are cut out. So let's see if we can do this on, I'm going to lay him out here. Does this remind anybody of that game Operation? Okay, so let's take our, I'm going to build it out first so I know I have all my right pieces in the right position. So when I do that, because your arms may be a little bit different. My pink guy, one arm was different on his, one was up and the other one was kind of down. So you just want to line it up and make sure you know which side is which. And especially since we had to change our middle piece a little bit, that you want to make sure you're careful with that. But this, I think, looks like it's the right way. So now what I do, once I have it laid down facing up, I'll take my blue painter's tape and just to keep my positioning, I'll put a little piece of blue painter's tape on the back. And then I'm going to make sure it lines up again, because if I have it on the wrong way, I might just need to flip it over and make sure I've got it going the right way. So I've got it lined up going the right way. So you can see, can you see how when I flip it over, like I can match it up here. My ears kind of match, but my legs don't match. So that lets me know I had it right the first time and everything's going to line up in the end. So this is how it's going to go down. Now, once I have my first layer down, I'm just going to keep building my layers on top of it. So my next layer is my yellow layer. And I'm going to line up everything. So it's my legs are the key part here. So I'm going to line up my legs, make sure those line up. And the reason I use the blue painter's tape is just for positioning. Blue painter's tape I find comes off really easy on cardstock and doesn't damage the cardstock. So my seam, you can see a little bit of my seam, but watch as I build it out, it's going to disappear. Okay, so those are, oh, I've got one more big piece. So fun. Okay, let's see. This one goes over on this side. Again, I'm going to match up my feet, make sure I have it in the right spot. Looks like it, but maybe I have the wrong one here. Let's just double check. Okay, so now I've got these guys all lined up here. So it looks like it's a little bit off. So let's flip it and see if I've got this going the wrong way. They should match up when you do it like, oh no, so I had it the right way. See, when I match up over there, then I've got a big gap there. So I was right. It's just being a little persnickety here. So we're going to line up our middles. And then maybe have a little yellow peeking out, which is okay because it peeks out anyway. So I'm just going to line up my middle parts there. And then again, we're going to put some tape on it. So the tape really just holds it together when you flip it over to put the glue down. And then I have, this is going to cover up my middle part, my middle seam. So in the end on this guy, you won't even see the seam when he's done. And then this goes on. And then I think it goes teeth. I think it goes, I'll have to look back. You always have to want to make sure you look back. I think it goes teeth and then that, yeah. And you can see like there's a little bit of a rim around that. And then our eye lines up. He's going to go, the eye's going to go right there. And then this goes right on the corner there. So that's how your pieces are going to line up and everything. I'm going to double check on the mouth and make sure it's the whole teeth that's showing and not the other one. So let's look at that. So I like to kind of go back and forth and make sure in Design Space, I've got the right parts where they should be. So let's check that out again. I'll share my screen here and go back to our main one. So I'm going to cancel that cut. And I've cut this guy all up. So I need to bring in an image that's not cut up. So I'm just going to go grab another monster here. And oh, okay, so I have it wrong. You see, he's got like that color should be over his lips. So let's do that. Let me fix that one. So it goes like this. So this is, I do all this before I glue it down. So he's going to go like that. That's so cute. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start gluing it down. To do the smaller pieces like the eyes and things like that, I will use, I'm going to turn it this way. I'll use this iCraft Ultra Bond. It is so cool. It dries clear and it dries really quickly. So when you put your glue down, it's going to dry pretty quickly. And so you just need to put like a little bit on there. And if you think you got too much, just kind of spread it around with the tip. But I love it because you get like a really nice thin line and you don't have to worry about it spreading out. It will spread out, but as long as you don't put too much down, you won't have glue everywhere. Which I can tell you, if you have a sister who helps you do these things and is the big sister, she will make sure that your glue does not go outside of your design. Right, Joy? Joy was always, right. Yeah. That's
great. No cutting outside the lines either.
Yeah, you were quality control. Okay, so now I just have that all lined up there. There's my eyeball. So cute. Okay, now again, I have another big piece that I'm going to use. I'll bring the mouth over and we're going to glue this blue piece onto the teeth. So the reason I kind of line it all up is I want to make sure, because it's not a symmetrical design, I want to make sure, do I have it right? Like, are my holes in the right spot? And they were. So I just need to put that on there. So I'm going to glue on this side here. Now, we used to have to then take these and have them laminated and then cut them out of the laminate. So I don't know if that still is an option for teachers to do that. If that's still something, then that way you can use these guys. You put all this work into making them and you can use them over and over and over again. So very, very fun. Okay, that's going to go on there. And then this big piece is going to go on my middle part here. So for this one, I think I'm going to use my adhesive. So I've got my glued down pieces and I'm going to set those aside and let those dry a bit. And then let me put those up on my machine here. Let those dry up there. Got that eyeball watching me. Let's come back to this guy and we're going to do the light blue on the body here. So for this part, this is pretty symmetrical. So let's just double check that I've got it in the right spot. I think it looks good. So we're going to just use, this time, instead of using a glue, I'm going to use my tape dispenser. And I just run my tape runner around the edge. And again, like if this is going through a laminator, I'm not super worried about catching all the corners because it gets all sandwiched in together at the end of the day anyway. All right, now we're just going to run this way. And then this is going to go right on top of this guy. Now, I will tell you, if you use adhesive like this and put adhesive on the back, once it sticks down, it sticks down. So you may not want to do it on top of your other character parts. And you may just need to hold up part of it. Excuse me, so that as it goes down, it doesn't stick. The nice thing about using the glue is that you do have a little bit of wiggle room to move things around. Okay, so I had to grab a sip of water. But now we're ready to put that on the purple backing. I'm going to actually set that aside though and start working on my big side here. So I've got lots of parts to move around. So on the big guy here, this one's going to go onto my black poster board. So the poster board is thicker and this will just lay down right on here. Now you can either flip this over and put the adhesive on the back side or put the adhesive on your poster board. The hazard to doing that is like if there's a hole or something, you may put adhesive where you don't want it to be seen through. I have done that. So we're just going to flip our body over and I've got it taped together. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it losing its shape there. You know, I've got it already taped together. So at least when I put it on the backing, the poster board, I don't really have to think too much about having it aligned in the center. My center alignment is good. So I'm just going to run it up. And, you know, I don't think you can use too much tape on a situation like this. If you want to go back on your fingers, if you're not laminating them, I would take my glue, my wet glue, and go back and get those little fingers, digits. All right, so now we're going to turn it over. Now, since it is, I do have the blue tape on there, I can actually fold it in half like this. So he's folded in half and I can work on one side and then bring the other side over. So I'll start down here, line up his foot. It's hard to see. And the good thing is, if you do make a mistake, I don't like doing that, the folded over part. If you do make a mistake, you can always trim back around your person, around the black edge there. Okay, so here we go. We're going to put this on here. And that's going to go right like this. This is the crucial part here. Just lining all this up. Your first one. Once you get that first one down, then you're good to go. A little bit. Okay, line that. The bottoms line up perfectly, so that's always easy. And then you're going to bring them up like this. And so he got a little stuck here. I got a little bubble here. That's okay, because I haven't pressed anything down hard, so I can just kind of lift it up where I need to, smooth it out, and bring it back down. Now, if it's off a little bit, I can always go back with my scissors and clip the back part of it. That poster board, that black poster board, I can clip around there, so you may not be able to see it, but his ear is a little bit off here. So I'll come back with my scissors and just clip around that part of it, anywhere that it's peeking through. Can you see that? Anywhere that it's peeking through on the black, I'm just going to go ahead and cut that off. So that way I have like a nice clean edge there. So you just finish it off that way. And it's okay if it's overlapping a little bit less on one side on the poster board here. You still have a lot of stability with your little character here. So we're going to go clip, 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 clip all the way around wherever you need to. We're going to have it hanging out. Or maybe you'll do a better job getting it on there the first time. You can also, one thing, do like a hinge to it. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So this part here, so that's our first one. Now I have my yellow one goes down. So if I wanted to, and I wanted to make sure that it's lined up and it doesn't go the wrong way or get off the rails here, we're going to line it up. Okay, so that's good. Line that up. Got to line up all the little parts of it and make sure everything looks good. And make sure you have it. Yeah, I do have it the right way. Okay, so what you can do, like before I was mentioning using the hinge part, since I don't have any holes showing through, I can open it up this way and put my adhesive down on the side here and across. Just remember, my ears don't have anything on it. My hands are exposed and my hairy toes are exposed. So I don't want to put adhesive on that. So you can just walk it down that way. And then pop it back over. So once you have it lined up one time, you don't have to realign it. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. And then I'll do that same technique with the purple. So we're going to just go. I love this tool. Okay, there we go. Pop this over like this. And then you can just take your blue tape off and put your purple layer, or your next layer can go on. So again, we have the purple guy, and that's going to go on the same way. So we're just building it, building on the base. And we're adding layers to it. So it has like a little bit on the bottom that might peek out. That's okay. Loving it. I'm going to fold it open. Now this one has the holes in the arm here. So for that part of it, I'm just going to take my glue and just do a really thin line down the sides of the outside of the arm and a thin line on the outside of the foot. And then same on the curve of the foot here. So that's just a really thin line there. And that's a little bit thinner than I want than I think I can get my tape gun on. The rest of it, we can do the tape gun. And then push him over that way. All right, looking good. Then we just have to flip it over and do the same thing on this side. All right, flipping them over, and then just again do the same thing with your with my glue. I'm gonna get a curve on the foot, on the sides of the foot, up here, down here, down here. Okay, we're almost there. Bring that back. Oops, I forgot. Gotta use the gun. Now, if you missed the class on Monday, we had a great class on Monday with ideas on how to set up your classroom. That recording is live. So you may have noticed in my background, I had the like a hello sign and a shirt made to teach, some other fun decor for your classroom that we did on Monday's class, which was a lot of fun. Now I've got my layer here, my blue layer, and I'll use my adhesive gun here. This is great because it just gets the curves. Okay, so this guy's going to go down here, line that up. Very forgiving pattern. So if you have any little errors, if you got off or anything, it's a very forgiving pattern here. And we can do this. Now, if you wanted to, you could also add magnets to the back of this little guy, so you could hang them up on the whiteboard, and you can just use, instead of using poster board in the background, you would use magnets. And if you had to, you could cut up your magnets, divide it up, and make a great big magnet piece. Okay, so let's come back here. And I'm going to share this. Let's see. Here we go. All right, so here is monster number 2. Ready to go? And I have monster number 1. So now you have like little monsters that you can use on your bulletin boards, or any whatever your room theme was. Like if it's ocean, you may have fish that you want to put up, or you may have, you may go the plant route. You may go Texas natural and do cactuses and things like that. Are always really fun. I did want to show, I have a couple minutes left. I did want to show one technique. We talked about cutting different materials out. And if you had a whiteboard, so let me go little again. Let's go find my little guy. I'm going to do a new canvas. And I'll find my monsters. Let's grab a monster. Or actually, let's do something different. Let's do something that had the yoga theme, because there were really so many cute things in the yoga. We got the pig, a unicorn. Anybody have any ideas? The seal was kind of fun. The sloth, I love that one. Let's do a pig. And so if you wanted to bring this into your classroom, and this was your theme, pigs doing yoga, or just yoga, Zen kind of idea, you would just, again, ungroup that theme and ungroup the pieces, move your pieces apart. And I'm actually going to keep this little because I'm thinking this is something that you could cut and piece together to put on a smart board out of magnet. So the parts of the pig here, I would cut out of cardstock. So I'd use 3 different shades of the pink, and then the blue mat. But what I want to show you is how to cut different materials. So if you had a little piece of poster board, you could cut it smaller out of poster board. If you wanted to cut it for, again, your smart board and needed to cut it out of magnet, I wanted to show you how to do that. So you go to the Make It screen, and we're going to just do, we're actually going to do this guy out of magnet. So to choose your different materials, your different machines cut different amounts of materials. Your Cricut Joy cuts over 50 materials, the Explorer cuts over 100, and the Maker cuts over 300 different materials. So I have the Maker selected as my machine, and I can browse all materials, and I can browse the compatible materials for my machine. So if I'm using, say, poster board or magnets or felt, I would just type in I'm not sure if poster board is one word or two. You could just type in the word of the material you're using and cut that out of that material. The machines have all been tested for the compatible materials. So the settings are preset, like it'll give you the right weight, the right passes through. It will tell you to use the right machines. If you're going to cut out of magnet, you just need to be familiar with the thickness of the magnet material. Is it a 1 millimeter sheet, a 0.5 millimeter sheet? Is it printable magnet? So I actually have a printable magnet sheet that I've cut on, and I use the 0.5 millimeter setting. So I'm going to choose that setting again today because I've tested it and I know that it works. And then I'm just going to send that to my machine. So let's go to my overhead so you can see how that's actually going to cut. And then I would also cut it out of the cardstock color so that I would glue the cardstock to the magnet. So for this, I need to find my green mats behind me. Okay, now I do have on my table here, this was an old, one of those old magnets that had a clear cover on it and you could slide a picture into it. Obviously it aged and cracked, but the magnet sheet is still good. It's a thicker magnet sheet, but think about like if you have car magnets that you don't use or something like that, you can use that type of material too. You just maybe give it a little test because like I said, this one is probably a 1 millimeter. This is a 0.5 millimeter. So you just want to make sure that when you're working with a thicker material, you really want to make sure that you get it on your mat. And if you need to, you can go even to the purple mat, which is the strong grip material. And then I'm just going to put that in my machine. Yes, Lena, you can get the printable magnet sheets at Michael's. So it's a Pro magnetic photo paper. So you can actually put it in, you can do a print then cut with it. So if you wanted to print a design for your classroom onto the magnet paper, you could do that and then bring it over to your machine and cut it. So that's always a fun thing to do. Oh, you know what? Did I hit play yet? I hope not. Nope, I did. Hold on. Nope. Let me stop it. I forgot to change my blade out. Sorry, I got so excited. I forgot to change my blade. I need to use a deep cut blade with the magnet, not my fine point blade. So I'm going to take that out, and this is the deep cut blade. Let's see if I hope it'll still work. Put that back in, and we'll do cut. We always learn from my mistakes. Can you write on the magnet with the Cricut? You know what? That's a really great question. I'm not sure. I haven't tried it, but let's try it. Because that would be so fun if you could just write on it or draw on it even. I could use different shades of pink and draw right on it. So we'll try it. I have my, these are the regular 0.4 tip markers. Let's try it. We'll see if it smears or not, because it is a glossy surface. So I don't know if in regular it would cut it. Now you notice it's doing 2 passes. Does the deep cut blade come with the Maker 3? The deep cut blade is sold separately, And you can use the deep cut blade on your Maker and your Explore. So let's just see. Oh, that's a hard color to see. I went for pink to match my pig. Can you write on, okay, let's see, we're trying that. Can you write on here? All right, so there we've written on it. Let's see if it smears off. Oh, look at that. Okay, let's go back into, okay, hold on 1 second. That is so cool. I never would have thought about that. Francis, what a great suggestion. Okay, so let me cancel that out. All right, cancel this. Let's do this. That is so cute. Okay, here we go. We're gonna delete that out. We're just gonna write something like, what would you write? I don't know what I would write on a magnet, but let's do like lunch. And we're going to do it really big. So we'll do the outline. Now, writing does do the outline, so it won't fill it in. So it'll be either like, it'll be like this style here, or if you convert this to a pen, it'll do the outline. So let's do it like that. Okay. And we're going to make it. And I'm going to move this over to the right side. It may draw into my pig, but I'm going to deal with that. Okay, so those are the thin markers. Let me see if I can grab a thicker marker. I have some different markers here. They're different Cricut markers. So these have a thicker tip to them. So we might get a bigger line. That's a thin one. That's a thin one. Okay, let's use this gold one. This will show up. You guys see that one? I think that might be the best one I have on hand. I wasn't prepared for this, you guys. I love it though. I love the challenge. I love how, you always think outside the box. Let's see if this color will show up a little better. Okay. So yeah, let's do this one. Here we go. I'm going to put my pen and clamp A, and it's just going to do the writing. And we're going to browse all materials. We're going to do magnet. Okay, we're going to do that. I don't think it's going to cut it. I thought I did it load. Yep. Okay. So that's loaded in. All right, let's watch. Oops. So it did cut through all my little pig there. And this does have thicker pens. So like I could have used the calligraphy pen, which would be a little bit thicker, or the 1 point black marker. I just don't have this open yet. So you could use those. And our time is almost up while this finishes. If anybody had any other questions, we can answer those real quick. But I think after this cuts, our time will be up. Please do feel free to share your projects on, if you craft on social, you can share it with Cricut with Michaels. Love to see what you do. Oh, I hope, is it going to go? It's going to write on my mat. Oh, well. There we go. Fun. Look at that. It worked. So if you were doing this, you could then cut out, do an offset and cut out around it. You could color it in. You could just take your pen and color it in. So we could just color right in on that. Keep your line straight. I'm hearing my past coming at me. But there we go. And you could just color it in like that. How fun is that? Now I will get that cleaned off my mat. I think I'll just use, I use little wipes to clean off my mat. So I don't want you guys to think I've ruined my mat, but even if it doesn't come off, that's okay, because it still will be sticky. And I'll just let that live there. Remind me of my time together today. All right. Well, I think that is everything that we have time for today. Thank you all so much. Please do, if you had a chance to copy the YouTube link that gives you the video with more information. As Felicia said, this video will be live on Monday. Look for it then. And we just Thank you so much for spending time with us. I hope everyone has a great afternoon. Thanks so much.